Hello and good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight, Gary. I really appreciate it. Last minute, it just shows that Paraunity works and you believe in it so much that even on the last minute, you just dropped what you was doing and you came straight on. So I do appreciate it, brother.
Oh, it's okay. It's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's it, bro. Unfortunately, George Toplin wasn't able to join us tonight because he had some issues that he had to sort out. He had to go to work, so unfortunately, he wasn't able to come on live, but that's getting rescheduled. So tonight we've got Gary Fields, which is, like I said, it's absolutely fantastic that he's able to join us on the last minute, and it's much appreciated. My name is Martin Alley. I'm from Lincoln Street Seekers. I founded it many years ago. We've got a large Paraunity family that's always growing. It's just fantastic. It's just showing that we all support, encourage, promote, and we are always there for each other. Tonight we've also got Bob Sarp, who is a paranormal investigator, and we've got Gary Fields, who's been on TV and he's a psychic medium.
Extra large now, aren't we, Bob?
Yeah.
No offense meant, mate. That's what I.
Oh no, you're all right. I get what you mean. This is about number 6 or 7 I've done now. I'm getting to be an old hat now. I still have to put my little flat cap on soon.
Getting there, bro. Right, Bob, do you want to introduce yourself, bro?
Yeah, my name's Bob Sharp. New member of the family. I keep calling myself the baby of the family, but I'm starting to toddle now, so I'm all right. Yeah. God, varied background, been into supernatural in general since I was younger. Lived in the middle of nowhere, saw lots of stuff, lots of questions, lots of things happened to me over the years. Always, wanted to do this a little bit better. As somebody once said, nobody's really a professional, but or an expert, but we've all got plenty of experience, and that's part of what the whole Paraunity and everything's about. Really, is about us sharing the experiences, the good times and the bad times. Because let's face it, at the moment we're all going through a lot of bad times, and it's affecting us all quite bad.
Yeah. Especially with the gas and electric going up, and
and everything else. Yeah, the amount of electricity they're using now.
So, guys, do you want to introduce yourself, bro?
Yeah, I know. Gary Fields, spiritualist medium. I have had it since I was 5. Seen a lot too much, too quick, too soon as a youngster. Met me Reiki masters 13 years ago, explained everything of where I was up to. When I met them, they said they'd been waiting 30 years to meet me, which is again linked with past lives, which totally blew my mind away when they said my name, and I'd not even met them before until that time. And we was doing a house clearance, and I become a Reiki master myself, and I've developed other skills. I'm a transfiguration medium now, and I like to work in and around the spirits all over the UK as well, do house clearances, charity nights, raise a lot for charity as and when I can, and spiritualist churches as well as doing the readings as well. So cover a lot, everything, and just love the paranormal side of it as well.
That's it. Well, it's like I was saying to you tonight, before we went on live, he was talking about different spirits and about their how the spirit realm could work, and like reincarnation, and if with a spirit that sometimes with a psychic they don't just dab up that they can turn around and go, we have got this spirit from a certain time, but because that spirit's got different generations as well, it's possibly that we picked it up from their past life sort of thing. I believe that's what you were describing last time. You there?
Yeah, as again, I always find there's a lot of chapters to fill in from your own past lives, and I think we never stop learning, do we? So I've learned certain centuries and certain decades out around myself, and I've been around through past lives, Mary Magdalene from the day one, basically, scientists around the 1700s, 1780s, Knights Templar, been around the King and Queen of France as well. So there's a lot of things to tie in, and there's certainly a lot more to tie in as well. My guide, he's linked with Stirling Castle. He was my Reiki Masters guide as well. And obviously, because they're not working as much spiritually now, he's stepped into my team. So I like adding on to my spiritual team, and that's just getting bigger with animals, and it's getting bigger with 2 or 3 different guides coming in as well over the periods. And as you work in, different energies come in to protect you as well. And I've had an amazing energy that's come in to protect me all around. A lot of negatives that's been around on a few investigations, and I know who this medium is. This other guide that's coming in, well, not a guide, the energy that's coming in to protect, because sometimes when spirits aren't playing the game and they're crossing the line, they already know. And I've had on 2 investigations out of the last 4 or 5 that this energy's come in and helped me, protect me prior to even going to the location, and it's like giving you the thumbs up. So there's so much out there in the realm that you're learning even as you're going along now. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. And I went to my back door on the extension the other day, and I could see 2 red eyes on the other side, and I knew that was going to be there at the investigation Friday night. That was Thursday night. That energy stepped in and came in to protect me from the red-eyed energy that was outside as well. So again, it's getting used to what's going on around you, and we never stop learning.
Well, see, it's like we're being in the paranormal field altogether. It's like when you first go into the paranormal field, you like slowly, you're always learning. You know, there's no experts within the field. There's people that can say yes, they've got plenty of knowledge and that they've like mastered like various sort of technology on their side, but I wouldn't say that they're an expert, because they need, you know, we're all looking for the same answer. I'd just like to say hello to Leslie. She's saying hello to us all.
Good evening, Leslie.
And it's like it's like when you said, it's that, you know, spirits got like past lives, and you've been in contact with different spirits and stuff from like King of France and stuff like that. When did you actually when did you know that you had the ability? When did you like go, right, you know, this isn't right, this is something different.
I'd say virtually when obviously I played football for a good 30 years, and when I packed in football, obviously things started to change in a way of like, that's the physical side of activity of keeping busy on going to match as well as playing football. And then obviously I had more time alone. I got divorced way back in the year 2000, and I just seemed to pick up more going on around me as I had like more time to myself in and around my own environment. And you gut intuition, and everybody got a gut intuition with being a medium. It's how you use it. And I just felt it grown. It went tenfold. And before you know it, it was just everything you was thinking. I was getting more of an active response of like, yes and no. And then that just built. So from the yes and no answers, like going, where's this coming from? What's going on?
Yeah.
If you talk to somebody face to face and you was talking about a topic or a subject, it was always like, oh, I'm unsure. And then it started like getting more responses of like, oh, this could be that and that could be this. And it was started putting the pieces together. So it was like
a bit like a jigsaw puzzle then.
Yeah, but everything was up in the air. So as I'm thinking with my thoughts and talking, I'm getting a response coming through the other corridor.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, what's going on there? Not on my hearing voices, but it's like you're getting an end of the conversation. So when you're talking, it's like somebody was finishing the conversation off. And it was like, right, okay, where are you going with that? I don't understand what's all that about. And then when you start focusing, and I always say, you know, I've worked around international mediums, and they were explaining things like meditation's the link to the key to the other side of the realm. And I was like, all right, okay. So when you start getting in the zone, I might end up meditating once, twice a year, because I just don't really get time to have a night off, basically. it's just, when you do, it's just like you walk into a spiritualist church, it just goes tenfold, and it adds onto it. And again, you've just got to run with your path. So I think from about 37, I really started getting into it. But I always find around the cycle of 7, so 35, 36, 37, things got heightened. 42, it just went again. So as you're coming into another 7 cycle, things changed and give you different scenarios and situations to work with, different tools in the locker.
We had somebody on last week, and they believed in the cycle of 7 quite a bit, Joe Fratelli. And he was talking about it on our live that we did last week, and like how the number 7 kept coming up in his life, and how it had like an impact. You know what I mean? But number 7 meant a lot. Well,
the first scene at 5, so that's going into towards the 7. So as you get past the 3.5, you're going into that next phase. 14, deja vu moments started coming up around 12. 18, pre-seeing things, pre-sensing things as you're going into 21. So again, all that scenario of the 7s was like, I went through a phase, and I know this might be hard to take, but I'm a big believer that spirits will give you more information in your team the more you can handle.
I believe that. I've seen that with my development as I've progressed. I've been able to do a lot more.
When I first went into a factory, like in 1989, I was with 5,500 workers. And then when I left, there was only like 1,400 workers. But in between that time and the phase, I was around people, and then I was getting like a deja vu moment where time was freezing. I was like, oh, what's that? So if you go to bump into somebody, like time would freeze for like a millisecond. And within a few weeks, then they were gone. They'd passed, they'd crossed. And you know, they'd had, you know, some had had accidents, some had passed naturally, some had had diabetes. And it was like as if to say, this person's not going to be around. So I went through a phase of about 1.5 years, 2 years of going, I'm not going to see this person again. And within 2 weeks, they were gone. So it was like that, like corridor of portal of the energy just going, you know, they're preparing themselves. You're not going to see this, but the freezing side of it, it was like only a millisecond, but you got used to it within a few weeks. You know, like say a stacker driver was retiring, and then, you know, you're not going to see that person. And within a week or two, they'd gone, they'd passed over. It was just so bizarre and so real. You know, I mean, I don't want to go into a few gory things as well, but there was quite, you know, there's quite horrific things happened to a few friends as well. And it was really, wow, this is like everything up in the air. What's going on? Kept my mouth shut, got on with it, kept my head down, just moved forward. But I always took it as a sign and a premonition as well.
So, yeah, because it's like, if you remember when I first came onto the stage, I kept ringing you and ringing you and ringing you and ringing you and ringing you, and there was like, as I was developing. Because I believe that I'm always developing. Everybody's always developing some skills and some knowledge within the field. And I, you know, there's times that I was ringing you like all the time. And you're like, for God's sake, I'm in the bath. For God's sake, I'm just having my tea. You know what I mean? I'm just getting into bed. You know what I mean? And it just, as I was developing, it was like I had to contact you all the time, and it's nice because I'm getting because of you. Wendy Hollands and like other mediums within the field, that's helped me to develop and to like develop my skills and to develop my knowledge within the paranormal field. It's like,
again, when we done the charity night, and obviously I put you in trance, and you was like, you didn't know what went on, and I was laughing with Emma, going, right, this is the start of your path opening up. So it's like opening your mind's eye. Again, you've got to run with your own path. You've got to run with your own fate and work out. And the people you bring in and around you'll get drawn to people that, I can work with them. And then you might not see them after a year or so. And then you always, other people coming into your circle. So I always say it's like the lover's card in a nice way. You're the shepherd. You're bringing people into your circle, and people that's not meant to be in your circle drift away. but it
Yeah,
doesn't
we do,
mean they're
yeah.
gone forever. So
happen.
it just, you know, it just does that with the timing. As I always say with the lover cards, you bringing energies in and you're pushing energies away. So you get drawn to the swirling of people you're supposed to be around and not supposed to be around on this plane.
Yeah, because it's like, it's weird. It's like when I first started the Power Family off, and I spoke to her and I was speaking to her about it, and you're like, yeah, go ahead, see how it works. You know, you never know. There's a lot of arguments and stuff like that in the Power Field. You never know how it'll go. And it's like, you've been with me since day one, because if I'll put my hands up and everything because of you. You've pushed me but helped LSS to get to where it is today.
But again,
You know what I mean?
it's like I always look at it as I get drawn more to the link and the pin in the center. So again, when people come towards me, it's for a reason, and then you just help them and nudge them in the right direction, and then other people will come in as well. So again, it's like yourself. It's what you do. It's you point people in the right direction, and then people come back round. So again, it's just trying to be nice and nice. You know, I always say it costs nothing to be nice. So always help people, always support people, always push them in the right direction. Again, you're only a phone call away or whatever, you know. I know George isn't on tonight, and, you know, I hope to catch up with him soon. Top amazing gentleman.
Yeah, we're trying to reschedule him for next Friday. You just got to find out what's happening. So hopefully we'll get him back on next Friday. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had people like George phone me or video message me 2:00 in the morning. I've been in the UK. I've always answered the phone. I've gone on his lives at 2:00 in the morning. I'll get out of bed. It's just like it's just what you do. You just help and support each other. And
that's it, bro.
It's all about. It's just, you know, we're on our path. We're on our journey.
I couldn't get onto one a minute ago for some strange reason. I've just had a bit of a technical issue whereby I had a microphone but just no speech. It was quite weird actually, because everything told me it was working, but it is now. Look, I love computers.
Yeah, it was just weird. It's like I wait for you to come in, and he's like, "But where are you? Why are you talking?"
I was about to start miming because it would be easy, but I figured it out. I was going to say to you, I don't want to go into it too much, but the different theories that I've had with things over the years. What you said when the first time we did it kind of touched on something that I've had an idea of for years and years, but it was more to do with energies, because there's energy I'm not going to go into it in one side of it, but energy, you know, there's a belief people die and this, that, and the other stuff, but the energy that makes people, the actual thing that you are, not the body, the shell that carries you, your energy doesn't die, it becomes something else. And I mean, scientists are slowly catching up with this. And Stephen Hawking's always believed that, you know, energy doesn't die, it converts into something else, which would make sense in a way if you looked at the sort of the layers of, you know, like spirits being one kind of person. I think I said this last time, and a spirit being different persons through the years, which also made me wonder, is that why we become attracted to certain people? Because we're attracted to the, you know, you think, wow, I met her and it was really unusual, and we sort of click straight away. And is that because it's not the person, but it's the energy, the spirit that, you know, and you've known each other before? You might never have that moment where you go, I knew you 200 years ago, but is that what connects us all together and makes that, you know, the energy that makes it? I'm not sure I'm explaining it very well. Like the kids that you have and all the rest of it. Is that mixture of energy and everything else and stuff that puts it together, that's, you know, that keeps the universe going in a way? That's a bit of a scientific way of putting it, and I've not explained it very well, sorry.
Well, as again, going back to the scientist side of things, that's mixing with the paranormal, where the two run side to side. Now, I know that Reiki itself is the only known thing to scientists. They haven't got the answer for how it works. So as mediums, we know how it works, but they can't tie and pin down how Reiki works. That to me alone, in today's modern society, for all the information we've had, is just mind-blowing alone, where you're like, right, as a medium, we know where we're up to. We know hopefully what we're doing and working towards moving forwards. And scientists are going, we've got no answer how Reiki works.
To be honest with you, for most scientists, I'm afraid they're never going to admit to anything. It's just to certain things anyway. They're always going to disbelieve. There's this side of it that they'll disbelieve. I've had the conversations over the years myself. People, it's the same as I was always massively, was still am into UFOs and stuff. It's why hasn't somebody managed to get the perfect ghost picture? Why hasn't somebody managed to get the perfect UFO picture? And it doesn't work, because on the side of like UFOs, I've seen a picture and it's amazing, and everybody went, well, that's fake, because as soon as you got a great picture that's not fuzzy, that's fake. Same as for ghosts and everything else. The moment you get that, that typical grey lady in a corridor, 70% of the people are just going to go, that's been faked somehow. You can't win. But,
my friend's an author, and she had a famous capture. Well, not famous, a fantastic capture last night at Shepton Mallet Prison, or Friday night. I'll support anyone's beliefs or whatever. And then you've got people saying, I can see 5 or 6 spirits energies within the picture. And then you've got other people saying, oh, it's light coming in through the rooftop. And it's like, if that's what you see and believe, that's it. Like, I always like to be there when pictures are taken to comment on, because the energy that's around, the atmosphere that's going on. You pick up on somebody sitting in the background that's not saying anything. So to get images and photographs, I always like to comment on ones I've been around, because again, you just don't know what's going on with other people and how they put things together, or where that's come from and the origins of it as well. So it's always nice to be, oh yeah, I was there that night. I remember the public taking that photograph. And again,
like
with being a
transfiguration sort of thing.
Yeah, you just try and clarify it to break it down, because you've got more understanding of what's gone on in the atmosphere. So if I'm sitting here now and I'm sensing somebody in my kitchen and somebody takes a photograph, I'm like, okay, I'm not too sure what's going on, but I can take that because I was there. Not me taking the picture, I was in and around the vicinity, you know what I mean? So you've got that building picture of somebody's took a picture in that jail of on the Friday night. You was there, so you've got an understanding. I always try and explain to people, 50, 60 billion people have lived before us. We are like an aerobar. There's pockets of energies everywhere you walk through. So you've got a chance of picking up on an energy that you've walked through today, or walked around, or been around. So when you've been in that vicinity, you've got a better understanding of what's going on in and around you, than just randomly being sent a photograph. And again, I've been trying to help with the house clearance. Again, you see things that other people might not see. Oh, I've sent this video, then this is happening and that's happening. And you're looking and you're going, it's old land. There's a lot going on from the 1200s, and it's old land. It's not just your property. There's a lot of things passing through. There's a lot of things re-looping. You've got the full moon, the new moon, you've got the atmosphere and everything to take into consideration. So again, no night's the same when you're doing investigating. That's why I always say go to a location 3 or 4 times a year, or different times of the year, autumn, spring, summer and winter, because you've got to get that different atmosphere out the building to understand what's going on.
I'm not always not convinced, the wrong word, but I sort of, over the years, I've begun to think to myself that, within reason, that there isn't really such a thing as places that are, it's like everywhere. I hate the word haunted, because it's just there around you. And I think sometimes it's the person, and even it just makes me laugh sometimes that you might be like with somebody, like yourself, Gary, and you're there and somebody's on about a person and you're thinking, yeah, they're right next to you. If only you could see them. So it must be quite infuriating, not infuriating, the wrong word, but I don't know, actually, a mix of emotions sometimes. If you've got somebody who's sort of, it could be somebody's loved one that passed away and stuff, and all they ever wanted to say was goodbye. I've been there myself, and you're thinking, I can sense, however it works for you, I can sense they're there right next to you, and it must be quite sort of saddening, really, knowing that the person can't say that, but they can say it. They just can't see it from the other side.
They won't get a response, sort of thing. Do you mean?
Yeah, if it makes way, you can. Yeah, it's weirdly. Best way I could explain it, but it's going to sound daft. Is if you've ever seen the film The Frighteners, there's a little bit in it when the dead husband, and then Michael J. Fox's character, and the woman's at the dinner table, and the husband's there, and she's talking to him, but obviously she can't see him, and he's trying to interpret in the middle, sort of thing. And as much as it's a comedy, it's a good point that, you know, people, ordinary people, just take these things at face value and stuff. And thank God there's more and more people who are more open to this sort of stuff. And so, yeah, but if on your side of it, it must be quite, I don't know, saddening sometimes that, you know, there are people who go, yeah, it's just a load of old rubbish and this, that, and the other, and just won't want to open themselves up, or, you know, or like I said,
I think now where it's got to the stage where, even with the paranormal side of it, I always say, like, I won't go on an investigation on a walk outside if it's damp or wet, because there's no point, because you'll get a lot of interference on the front of the lens on the camera, and it's damp. As soon as you get damp and cold, it's like, it's virtually game over if you're doing an outside venue. The last few weeks has been still perfect night, no wind, no breeze.
Yeah,
it's been absolutely amazing. This is why this type of year I always find heightened, because you do get the still quiet night, and it's like, run with it, go with it. It's when you get a perfect night, you know it's going to be busy. I went to Anderson's funeral parlour the weekend before last, and I've been waiting 8 years to get there, but a lot of energies tried to stop me from going there. And then when you've done the investigation, you can understand the spirit energy there, why it's like so superior, and putting everything in its way to like distract you, and you go the other way or go on to another investigation like 6 or 7 years ago. And you can understand it when you get there, and you get a feel for the energy of like the dominant energy there, or the superior energy that's dictating the building and putting their energies over the place. You can understand why they don't want certain people there. They can push things in your way and path to steer you in another direction, so you don't visit the place.
Yeah,
it's like,
go on. No, I was just going to say, I can understand the whole, you know, I'm trying to think of a few places, but I've gone right out of my mind now. There are loads of places that you see on TV that they go over and again and stuff. And somebody we know has just been to 30 Years Driving that's famous. And I sometimes think, do these places get, you know, overdone so that the spirit, you know, do the spirits get, you know, do they get tired? Oh no, not again. Here they come with the gadgets. And it's like, you know, and it must be, it's got to be, because for, you know, you think to yourself, I don't know, somewhere deep inside me sometimes I think to myself, you know, is not damage is the wrong word. Are you causing any kind of harm? Because you've got to get fed up. I'm probably thinking of it as on a living term though. So
it's like Gaza has said to me many times about 30's Drive, going there investigating, and you have got your personal opinions about that place, haven't you?
It's just there's I've been there about 10, 12 times, maybe 40, now about 10 or 12 times, and I've picked up and received stuff, and I know I'm never far off the mark. It doesn't mean I'm right or wrong, but I'm waiting for one person to give one specific thing, and I'm going, you're on to what I've picked up. And I've not said that, and I've stood back, and and I think my first visit there was, say, possibly 8 years ago, and I'm like, as clear as day, know what's going on, know why it's going on, can understand when it's busy or active, and I'm just waiting for that one person to say the word. And was due back there this April, and I was telling the team, yeah, that's great, and then they said, oh, all them dates are fully booked up now for April, and you're just like, again, it's just like, right, it's keeping us away for a specific reason, you know what I mean? So again, it's like, I just want somebody to hit the nail on the coffin with this information I've received, and I'm like, yeah, you're up to speed, you know what's going on. And again, I'd like somebody to do that, and it's like, sit back, it'll unfold. Do you know what I mean? But when my team tell me stuff and show me stuff, and you see the cine film of what's gone on in and around, and you're like, right, okay, it makes sense to me, but I'd like somebody else to tie in and give that information to give me the clarification of like, wow, amazing.
There's a lot of people, like you say, visit there. It's popular. There are loads of other places I can name that are visited and stuff. It's just often makes me think that, you know, within reason, are some places. I was going to say it could be the people, but not so much the people, because nobody really lives there anymore. There's the neighbours who think it's the neighbour that owns it, but I don't know. I'm always drawn back to a friend of mine who when I met him and got to know his mum, and we was just watching this a lot of years ago, watching something. And afterwards, she sort of said, if I tell you something that happened to us when my mate was really little, and she told me of this stuff, and this was not that far a town, not that far away, and it was a lot that happened. And she showed me some press cuttings and different things, and this, that, and the other. So it was quite, it was quite well known and stuff. But the house was, I suppose, a council house. They moved. People's been in there since for years. Nobody else has had anything. So if the place, do you get what I mean? If the place, it can't be the place that's haunted. Surely it's the people. That's the wrong term, really, because surely the next people that move in would have things happen. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously a lot of people. It was a well-known place at the time. I'm going back to it's in the 70s, probably mid-70s. So, for me, I think to myself, well, surely then it's the people. Something is attracted by the people. And Martin knows my theory on that one, because we've got a friend we work with, who has.
Also, as well, as mediums, it's like trying to explain that you could be on a paranormal investigation or in a house located, a hall. And as soon as you open up as a medium, you'll get energies just like, there's a lighthouse on there. We'll go and see what's going on, and they'll travel through. So if they're like 10 miles away, they can hop in your van. They can just we're jumping around because we know there's something going on. And again, it's understanding of, like driving down to Shepton Mallet the other day. I know somebody got in the van with me, touching my hair about 20 miles before we got there. And again, you get them little heighteners of, like, you'll go past the building and then you'll explain to somebody that's done a lot of research on the place, and they're going, oh yeah, that's the old person's house that used to work here and stuff like that over the time. So it's just bizarre. And, this is pitch black when you're driving down at this time of year, at like 4 or 5 o'clock at night. And there's somebody in and around that's got a link with the building you've gone past to the place you go into. Yeah. And it's like trying to, as you say, piece jigsaw, trying to put the pieces together.
Yeah. I did that on Geared Into Martin with the old air base thing. It's World War II air base, and I did it. And Martin knew nothing. I was quite lucky because I knew somebody that there were like amateur historians, had lots of information and stuff that wasn't written down and all sorts. Martin picked it up. Wendy picked up even more. And I mean, a lot of people don't take much heed in those, the gadgets that do the voices and stuff. But we was there, and at one point, I went back over the recording, and within about 2 or 3 minutes, the word Jerry, which of course is the slang term for Germans, and it was, I think I counted 13 times in about 3.5 minutes. And that's beyond, there's coincidence, and then there's a bit more to it. You know what I mean? So, but I did think, like you said to me, Martin, when we was there, but then when Wendy came, it was different. And it was because, did Wendy attract all of the everything in, or was it the way that Wendy works by being able to read what goes on?
I think, with my personal opinion, and I don't know if Gary agrees, but I believe, if you go into a location and there's more than one psychic, that means that you've got more than one person that's open. So instead of those spirits having to communicate with that one person, where basically it feels like they're queuing up to communicate with you.
Yeah.
All jumping in all at once trying to communicate with you. And that's where sometimes you get the messages like, this happened, but this happened. And then it's like, no, but this happened. And you've seen me at it. You've seen me do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but this happened, but this didn't happen here. It happened here.
It's like
so many communications coming in all at once.
It's like now I would say to people, if you're going on a paranormal investigation as a paying public and going to an event, listen to every word that's spoken by people around you in a room. And then when you go off and you do your bits and you go and do a session in the location, and then that might come around of what somebody said 20 minutes ago, and it's not tying it all in on top of each other. Take a notepad. I've done about 15 pages there from Friday night. I've not looked at them yet, but again, my friend, she done about 6 or 7 pages and the information, and they've got the book on Shepton Mallet Prison, and the gentleman that owns it actually owns Shrewsbury Prison, and he's done that much research and history on it. The first time I was there, I gave numbers. The numbers tied in with the history of the place for this person or the prisoner or the sergeant or whatever was there. And they're the validations that when you get somebody doing research and finding up after it, I don't need to know, because I know I'll usually go back there to a location again. But it's nice when you get the validation and it ties in. Little scenario, Friday night, end of the first session, I drew when I got there the red eyes that I seen outside on Thursday night outside. At the end of the first session, we sat on the table in the hub having a break. And I said to somebody, I need to put a battery pack onto my night vision camera to support me video, to support my phone. So I thought I'll top my phone up and I'll cable tie it to the rig. So as I was cable tying the battery pack to the rig, I said, I need to cut the cable tie. It's too long. So they passed me a knife out of their drawing pad, which they've got an artist. They do the artist drawing. So they passed me a brand new knife that they've never used, just a craft knife. And as I went down on the cable tie, the knife all of a sudden went in and it done the top of my finger. Now, if I'm cutting a cable tie, I'd just go straight down.
Yeah.
I've cut many a cable tie. And when I looked to the table on my left, there was a lady there. And as I seen, she's quite receptive. And I looked and I went, gentleman's with her, slick back hair, greasy as anything. He's been given an order to watch them virtually try to get me, attack me. Physically, a little nick on the end of the finger, fine. But I knew that was a scenario of like where people in the prison would go, give them the nod. That was a nodding moment. That was like, see what you could do. My hand just virtually went an inch or two to the left. As I was putting it down, I was like, there's no way. I know how to cut a cable tie. I'm not going to take the tip off. And I know somebody there that's just gone, given a little nudge spiritually. And I'm like, right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And again, it's just mind-blowing. Was it an accident? My hand, I would not expect my hand to go that way. I had no warning signs. Usually my team are on guard. So again, it's like, play the game. But that's the scenarios and situations. Went up to isolation area. It was absolutely bombarded. As soon as we looked down one end of the corridor, could see a silhouette of the shadow at the bottom of there. Took photographs, got the energy in the film, in the picture. As soon as we turned around and acknowledged him, he was shooting down to the other end. So he was playing games with us all night, but that was the last session we went up to, was the isolation room where he's wanted us all night. And I just thought, I'm not cheesing it off. We'll get to you when we're ready, not when you want.
Yeah.
So again, story told, energies came through, and a lot of protection was up there that night in that isolation wing. And again, it's understandable. I could see the gentleman, he was virtually as good as, like, not tracksuit bottoms, just pants off, no t-shirt, and he was just going for it. It reminded me a little bit of what's the film where he does all the fighting, the gypsy does all the fighting. It reminded me of
it's Snatch.
Yeah, it reminded me of Snatch, where he was like, and this energy was just like that, and he was, but he just wanted to be settled and be acknowledged, and he just wanted to move on. He'd had enough of being in that vicinity. He'd had enough of doing what he did back in the day, because he had to fight his corner. So when you're in there, you have to raise your game up sometimes as an energy or a spirit or a prisoner. And you had to raise the game where people might have had a quiet life, but they've had to protect themselves and put themselves on the front foot. If they can imagine the bullying that went on. Yeah. So spiritually, they just want to be settled and get back to what the life was prior to them, whatever they've done for serving time. So again, as a prisoner, you can imagine these energies that, they might have gone on in the normal day life, done something off the cuff and served time for it. You know, they might have done a misdemeanor for like a mad 30 seconds of rush of blood. that's not their character, but they've responded where it's like you're always responsible for your actions, but that's not the character of the person. But how it can change in a different environment. So you've got to, again, I always say, you've got to get to the bottom of the story.
So it's like, last time you came on, we touched about earlier, it's about like spirits having like different layers, like an onion. And like the different like layers as you go towards the center, it's going to be more later and older. The spirit is. So, example, reincarnation. So the spirit's being born again, and when you are doing the reading, you're picking up from that spirit's past and stuff like that. So it's like you just said. It's like that. It wasn't their fault. It was their like judge of character at the time, that precise moment. The blood's flowing up onto the head at the moment, and stuff like that. Do you think that? Because that reason, it's like I was trying to explain to Emma the other day, is that spirits have like different. Basically, we've all got spirits in us. The way that I can describe it to us is that we're batteries, and even that this cell goes, the energy is still there.
Yeah.
And then it's like, depending how you've been within that life to how you get reincarnated and like how long it takes. And
well, I was going to touch on that. It's like even my own little grandson, and you're just going to fall off the chair. It's like, how many times have we said it? They've been here before. You know, he's 18 months old. He's walking with his hands behind his back. He looks like Liam Gallagher when he's walking, and and you're like, where's that mannerism come from? You know, you can see he's busy, he's active, and we sat him in the minibus seat the other day. Within a millisecond, he was like trying to change the gears. It wasn't even looking at them. It was just natural, you know. So again, it's like you can see the soul's been here before, and you get the energy of like, you know, you just get the mark of like when you see around certain people and the special. It's just like, yeah, you can relate to it, and when you link and relate to it, you can see there's been past lives there, you know. Just
so is that why some people suffer deja vu then?
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Because they do actually remember. Well, they don't remember being somewhere they've never been before, but the energy of the spirit as it was remembers.
I had a good friend from like back in the 80s, and they went to live elsewhere in the UK, and they've said to me, oh, you know, I've always had a link and a connection with you, Gary. I don't know what it's about. We both support Liverpool. The gentleman come up here a few weeks ago, and he was like, right, okay. And I said, right, we went out for the night. We had a couple of pints. I come back, and I just said, right, this is what it's been about, the link and connection. For 20, 30 years ago, I brought most of his family members through when I sat in my high chair in the back room. And he was like, he just needed to see them, experience what I'm about, knows there was a bit more behind me without me talking about away from football to what I do. Obviously, it was like the right time, the right place that person needed an upliftment to see family members again that's been crossed 10, 15, 20 years ago as well. So it's them little things where you can talk to certain people about football, and you can talk to certain people about paranormal or what you do. It's having the right place at the right time. And it was a not said moment as well. It was like, just sit down, I'll make you a brew, watch this, like I'll channel spirits through for you, and I'll show you family members, just to, you know, if some people are having a bit of a lot of things going on all at the same time, and you're just trying to give them that upliftment. And I always say seeing is believing. So when you're doing that, it's just like, that's like, you can't buy that moment of putting them people, giving the family members around them and showing the family members as well. But again, it's always the right place, the right time.
Yeah.
And a big believer of, if you've got an investigation and you've got 20 people paying public, and there's a couple there, 9 times out of 10, 5 of the males might just want to be at home watching Match of the Day. So my guide just won't link in with them. My guide will just go work with the partners and work with this. And then obviously working with non-believers is great, because that's where you're introducing them. So your guide will point you in the right direction of who to work with and who to connect with. So out of 20 people, it'll be for 2 people on the evening that'll have the mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. It's like when I did a charity night for one of these companies next to me. It's an elderly care home, and Wendy was there, and she was doing a stand up. She was doing a stand up reading, and she brought the spirit across, and you can see this lad. He didn't want to like put his hand up and go, "Yep, the reading's from me." And it was like more and more was coming out, and you see he's getting uncomfortable. He's like, he didn't want to. He's like, yeah, I know it's for me now, but I'm not going to say anything. And then Wendy literally walked over to him and went, "These messages are for you."
Yeah, it's what Paul Humphreys did to me when a few years ago. He spent a long time wandering around and stuff, and then suddenly walked up to me. Well, he just said he thought it was NHS to start with, and then he went, "No, there's a care worker here," and he went, "It's you." And I don't think I've got that written over my face and that, but he was right. And some of the things he said he was right. But you know what it's like, especially when you're skeptical, because the usual stuff came out what you'd expect and something, but it was just one thing that he said.
Yeah.
Just one little slip.
Yeah.
And when he made that slip, before he could catch himself, it was too late, because he knew he was in trouble. I don't mean fake.
Yeah,
he was in trouble with whoever was talking to us, and I knew very well that there was more to what he was telling us to meet the eye, because there's no way into it.
It's like everything, Bob. It's like Einstein said, if he was teaching the timetable of the 9 times table, when he got to 81, he said 9 9s at 82, and everyone jumped on him.
Yeah.
As soon as you make a mistake or a slip up, they're the standout moments. Yeah. So again, it's like pre-thinking before you say things. It's not just analysing. Give what you're given.
Yeah, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake like that. What it was, I don't mind saying. What it was the person when he said "Oh, your mum's going now, and he's off to spend. Oh, is going with your Auntie Peg." Now, my Auntie Peg could not stand being called Peg. It was always Peggy, and you got in trouble for. And I just looked at him, I just looked at him, wasn't any different. But the moment he got to the end of the sentence, there was no break. He just went, "Oh, I've just been told off because it's Peggy and not Peg."
Yeah.
Even my missus don't know that. Yeah. That's a family trait that I can't even think there's many people that would know it anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by a mistake, not like a character mistake, you know, or somebody's told you something wrong. But, you know, and he actually, the weirdest thing about it, when I look back on it, was the way that he reacted, because he'd been, I know my mum's character, he knew he'd been told off. He properly knew it. And, you know, he had it in him and stuff. And that was, for me, was the moment I thought, there's more to this, a lot more to this than meets the eye, because nobody knows that. Like I say, and that there's not. I can't even think many family members know that. He wouldn't have known it, because I've never met him till that night, and it's not written down. So you know what you said about validation as well, that sort of thing. Yeah, that you look for. So I'm sure when people do the readings and stuff like that, you know, you must get used to the sort of people who just go, "Yeah, well, it's all a load of rubbish and stuff," which sometimes you can't change people's minds.
It's like some nights in life.
Why would you want to?
Why are you doing a tarot card reading and people sit before you? And I always say to them, some nights it'll be a visual reading, some nights it'll be a spiritual reading. I like the mixtures of both, and I'll always say when the conversation's coming in from spirit, I'll stop what I'm talking about and give you what I'm hearing. Yeah. And again, you'll do the reading, you'll give information that the team are telling you, and they're talking to you, and they'll say, "Oh, have you got anybody from spirits?" And it's all been driven by spirit, the reading, and you like that, and you're going, right, okay, this is your information from what's going on in and around you, your team, your family members are giving you this information. It's not Gary. I don't go out to verbally say words from Gary's mouth. I'm telling you what everything of the universe, everything from the team, your guides, your protectors, your angels, your family members. And then they'll say, "Oh, I haven't had Aunt Bessie through." Aunt Bessie's not said nothing to me, darling. That's why you've not had it.
Yeah. Do you ever something I've never thought I was going to ask Wendy this actually at some point. Do you ever get when you've got all these different I can't think of another way I could say it, call them ghosts, energies around you and stuff, the ones that what help you, talk to you and stuff, do they ever conflict each other and you think to yourself, stop arguing, sort yourselves out? And
no, what I find is the different places or different mode is they could have been off putting a lot of balance in around your daily things that's been going on around you when your office isn't open. So when you start working, I do have an African guy around 21. He's not been around for a while as one of my guides, but I know he's there in the background. Obviously, a gentleman is like a Tibetan warrior. He's virtually like links with likes of. He's my main protector. He's about 8 foot tall when he shows himself, and sometimes on an investigation, somebody can say, I can see like a spirit coming through. His eyes are like quite drooped as if he's got war paint on type of thing. And as soon as somebody says to me, oh, I can see this gentleman coming through, I know that's to drop the session, end the session, because my guide's stepping in really close to going, it's building so high. Yes, Gary, I know you're going to close it down. And then an energy's tried to trance or channel somebody to the left and you break the session. I've had a person jump about 10, 20 foot away from the person they were standing next to because that energy was going to affect the person next to them. They've picked up on it and I've gone, right, end the session, like go for a tea break. And they're like, jumped out the skin, you know. So there's a time and a place where they don't have the over conflict. It's just, I would say, if you think of everything as a colander, when you open up, everything's trying to filter through all at once. You've just got to ask the spiritual team to come through one at a time. 5 or 6 things might come through at once. So you've got to try and slow it down and get it to your pace. If you've got a spirit that's coming to you, that's giving you verbal or giving you nagging away or shouting away, you're just like, if you're in an office, you just put the phone down, wouldn't you? Just right, okay, I'll talk to somebody in the right professional. I'll explain to people as well if their friends, family and loved ones on the other side aren't into all the spiritual side of it, they'll usually sit back and keep their mouth shut. Now, I always connect with them behind me over the shoulder. That's the way when I open up, and I'll say to my guide, introduce Gary while I'm talking to the person in front of me. Explain to them why they're connecting and linking with me, because I wouldn't just drag somebody into a meeting and go, oh, you come here, sit down, talk to me. My guide will talk and he'll explain what's going on. This is Gary. This is what he does. This is why you're linking and connecting and your energies around us, because your family members sat in front of them. And then sometimes they just bombard you and just show themselves right in front of you. So again, on the realm, on the other side, if you've got a Victor Meldrew, they can change their perspective when they're on the realm on the other side and look down at it and go, oh, sod this, I'm having a go, bang, straight in front of me. I go, oh, no, that's not their character. And you're like, they see things differently. So they're seeing the wider universe. So that soul or that energy or that spirit can totally take on board a different perspective. You've got to describe them. And I'll ask spirits to go back 10 years prior to them passing if they've had any ailments, come through, explain, give me more information. The more you give me, the more I can give to the person in front of you.
Yeah, I get that.
Gary, what's the oldest spirit that you've ever had contact with? Because you were saying about layers and stuff, and I was going, more the question would be, with you saying about the layers and the different, do you see them or do they let you see how far back they go?
I'm going to say I'd say roughly around Mary Magdalene, but you've got to think of how can I put it, a grunt, or is that a caveman?
Yeah, I was going to say, are you aware of something older? Even though you're talking to somebody and from 1500s, you can sense them older.
I always ask on an investigation for the older layers to come through first, and then you can move through the centuries or the decades.
Yeah.
That's very.
A good friend of mine says, why don't you pick up on dinosaurs? Now, if you fully think of Pompeii, where the volcanoes embedded all that energy has been embedded. So when allegedly, if these dinosaurs allegedly was struck and gone out the earth, are they right or wrong? Has there been dinosaurs? Is it made up or is it man-made? Where's all these giants that they don't tell us about? I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but realistically, they don't like. If you look on, I always say top tick. I always call it the opposite way around, messing around. If you look at some of them stuff on there with the flat Earth scenario and situation, how much there's always control in life. So again, they'll always change the goalposts. People that control will only let you want to know what they want you to know. So again, is it where's these giant skeletons coming from? As again you say the UFOs. I'll always say, I said the other night, I'd love to see a UFO. I've seen things in the sky that I can't explain.
I'm the same.
I've seen flashes and scenarios at my friend's house the other week, the other month, and it's just like, wow, give us more information, But I mean, do we thrive on that? Do we go? I mean, I watched the X-Files, started watching it 2-3 years ago. Things from 20 years ago make sense now. So you watch, and there's certain things in the X-Files that were just like too far make belief and gone. What's his name, Venturis or whatever, the gentleman that looked into all the conspiracy theories.
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse, he said in 2009 that there was a certain virus coming along that was going to be man-made, let out, and then you look at things 11 years later, we're in that scenario and situation. I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to go into too much politics and all this, that, and the other. I'm drawn to the Sherlock Holmes days. If you could take me back to a period now, it'd be around the 1900s, around Whitechapel, around all that scenario and situations of because I see myself in a corner just looking through like a hood and watching the streets of London, that type of scenario. But I've had no more information of that, but I know I was around at them periods as well. I've been told I hold the key to time travel, but it would go around X equals square. The scenario and the link and the key and the connection would go around the world 4, 5, or 6 times because nobody's got that key, nobody's got that connection. It's not about me. It's when other people connect and link with you, you're going, right, okay, where's this coming from? I always have a famous king around me as well, King Arthur. I ended up on the Knights Templars route, and there's just something there. I was on an investigation the other week, and somebody went, "OMG, you look like the main man himself," and I knocked down below the main man of the Christian side of it, and I was just like, amazing. But again, is that energy coming in to protect you? There's been so many uplifting moments, and it's just like, again, as I said, the more you can deal with and work with, the more information they'll give you as well. And I'm like, I've not asked that person to come through. I've got an energy with me. I'll try and show them. I'm in the middle of a graveyard, just on the walking path, looking around an old ruins. And they're like, oh my God, I can see it looks like X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, just run with it. Just run with it. They're around for a reason,
You've always said that to me about, like, for example, if I've like, because before I started being able to say, I'm able to do this, and I came out public being able to say it. I used to always say to you, this is Gary, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. What is this? What's happening? What is this meaning? And you used to always say to me, just go with the flow. Just go with it. And that's like your word for me, because it sticks in my head now. Like when I get a message, I don't know about you, it comes through the back here, and it's like, and it comes into my ear, it goes, just go with it. And it's like, and it's like, and it's like you said about, like, if you go back to like the different levels and stuff, it's like, do you believe that, like, for example, I'm just talking from what Emma, my wife, said about this, like different layers and different levels and stuff like that. You might be able to give me a bit more better understanding about this. It's like there's the psychic realm, isn't there? And then there's how many levels of heaven is this supposed to be?
I always say the 7 levels of light.
7,
Seven.
So you're born in 3.5.
Yeah.
People that want you to bat and play in their team take your energies down. People that are white light want to take your energies up. So it's a drive, it's a fear. It's always like everything in life. It's I'll have a kiss behind the bike sheds. Oh, that was good. I'd like to do it again. Oh, I'm smoking a cigarette. I'd like to do it again. Then they go on to other things, and then they go around other people, and it just drives them down, or whatever their drive is as well. they could be a different soul, a different energy in this life as well, where they, you know, they always say you've got to experience, your soul's got to experience a lot going through the paths and the stages as well. And it's totally, you know, what they always say, what you don't learn in this life, you've come forward, what you haven't learned in the last life, you've come forward in this life to learn.
Yeah. This is what Emma said to me quite a bit. It's like, and then because she was asking me so many questions, it's like, you know what? Wait until I speak to Gaza, I'll get the information. And then it's like, you know, you're answering what she's asked me and stuff like that. And it's like she said to me, like before, is that before she was born, she believes that she spoke to 3 different spirits before she came into the body. You know what I mean? And I said, that's your energy. I don't know if I've got this right, but that's like your energy. And it's like your energy's come out of like whoever or whatever it was before. And it's like roaming around, and it's found the, like, best way that I can say it is like, what's it called? That's, I keep wanting to say spawn, but it's not. It's the Black Spider-Man. What's it called?
Oh,
a bit like Venom when it's looking for the correct host.
Yeah.
And it's like I said to Emma, it's like when you was looking down at this like body, it's like you're looking for the correct host, the correct cell for the energy to go into. Is that right? Is that how it works? Or
it's like sometimes, I mean, it's like if certain. It's like trying not to go into a lot of personal details with things. If somebody has a miscarriage, say, and that child's not spent to live, it's looking for a different host. It's like sometimes it can. There's a cycle of 42 again with is it male or female? So again, there's a lot going on in the universe where attachments are around. And again, I mentioned it a few weeks back where an old person was in the pub, and you could see the soul as if it was virtually waiting to come away and go looking and searching, and then you could see it just stretching out and away as if it was going. It was looking for a new where it was going to go next. And again, it's trying to work out. You know, somebody's like 78. Your body might not want to be 95. If you're hurting at 60 and your body's riddled or whatever, or really aches and pains and suffering. You know, sometimes the soul's like, you know, your casket's not up to speed where the energy and the entity is. So you attract different things as well. It's just like sometimes magnets don't connect. I mean, and then magnets do connect, north and south poles, they'll bind. And again, it's just like, I'd like to have the knowledge now and be 5 years old and picking everything up. But
start again. Yeah.
Star Trek when I was a kid. Oh, there's something about that thing in the hand, and then with the mobile phones, it's just like there's something about that. I don't know what it is.
You know what I mean?
The thing is, though, when it comes to conspiracy theories, they always say there's a lot more to that than meets the eye anyway. Gene Roddenberry knew a bit more than, you know, whether it's true or not. But he got a lot of stuff right when he with his technologies and his ideas.
I've got a great friend who is a conspiracy theory, and obviously 3 years ago, everyone thought he was, you know, oh yeah, all right, and it's not looking at the negative side of it. They're actually feeding you what's coming ahead. And I used to build engines. In about 1990, I used to build engines, and when they were saying about Tesla and all that, 100 years ago, they made Tesla out to be off the mark. You know what I mean? Every genius they'll always try and put down. The gentleman that invented cars that run on water got bumped off. Gentleman come out the other day Australia, and he said, I've made the machine. Everybody can build this machine. You don't need to buy off grid. Now you can have your own electrics. And I'm looking and I'm going, sometimes when I see a comment or a statement, I'm like, you need to keep it to yourself and not go down that road.
And some of my ideas, which I was going to do for LSS, because I said it out in the open, boom, it was gone. And it's like, okay, I know where that came from because I literally said it this amount of years ago. And now suddenly it's come on, and suddenly you've been my friend for how many years, and you're not anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, I see what's happened here, mate. You know what I mean?
I know I have these. what you was on about the like trusting your feelings and this, that, and the other. I've said this to Martin quite a lot. Me and my missus go on holiday to Scotland a lot, and when I go there, I don't feel like I'm on holiday. I feel like I'm at home. There's something we've been for a long time now, and nobody will convince me otherwise that there isn't more to it, because there's something about when I get there, just don't feel like I'm on holiday. I feel like I'm at home. I feel very natural, very, I don't know what it is. I've not come across, I don't feel deja vu about anywhere, but from the first time we started going, there's just something different. And as Martin and sort of Wendy and that's been teaching me, learn to trust your feelings. So I'm trusting that feeling that there's more to that than meets the eye.
Well, it might be
what you're saying about.
It might be part of the layer system like Gary talks about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
About, like, you know, it might be from your past life or even your past life.
There's something there. There's something
for you, you know?
Yeah. I go to loads of places. I know I've over the years with different things, family members and stuff, spread around the country. I've visited and stayed. I had 15 aunties and uncles. There's not many of them left. I've travelled, stayed around the country, and this, that, and the other. I've never had that feeling. I've visited loads of places. It's nice to come home, but yeah, there's something different. It's really hard to put your finger on it, and it's that when I listen to like Gary talk and Martin talk, Wendy, and all the others we've interviewed. There's always that something about the feelings, the trust in you. There's a lot more people. There's a lot more to, you know, the way that people think and stuff that meets the eyes. I've always said about, is that why some people just naturally win the lottery or the daftest of things? Is it because, you know, like you said about the numbers, Gary, number 7, as soon as you said that, I just laughed because I was thinking of Joe and stuff. And his wasn't positive, was it? It was more negative. But yeah, numbers are maths. I mean, even though scientists will convey it as maths, the universe is made up of mathematical equations as we would understand it. But that's just the nature of the universe, I think, because it's organic. People seem to forget that they, you know, we're organic, the animals are organic. So is the rest of the universe, end of the day.
It is amazing. I mean, some of the experiences have come along. If we go back to day one, you know, I've already been given certain, not dates, but certain ages that I feel I'd pass. And it's not for me to say because there's no time conception on it. So let it run. You know what I mean? If information we received, it's either 1 or 2 years that I've got of a certain number that I live to. And it's like, just run with it, go with the flow. You know, if it's wrong, you've gone quick. If you haven't, it's like it's a need to know basis. I don't really need to know that, so I wouldn't focus on something like that. You know what I mean?
Time's a thing, isn't it, Martin? We've had that with a couple of ladies at work where one of them says there's a time that sticks out for them, isn't there, all the time. And it's not just like, oh, wow, it's that time. It's just like they've noticed that they'll look at the watch or we'll look at the phone watch or whatever, and it's that time. And it always seems to be that weird specific time. And they've also mentioned it at night as well, a different thing. But I did wonder, I've never said anything. I did wonder if it was because something significant happened to them, even if it was a past life or something, or there's something significant with it.
There's been a big one there of, we know we're all interested in time travel. If we can pick spirits up from the past, why can't we travel forwards? And people say, oh, you're psychic. It's got to run side for side, where there's positive, negative, black and white, past and forwards. It's all got to run in the realm, hasn't it? It's got to.
Yeah. I've weirdly sort of often wondered that about time travel because of like things that have, I'm not going into it, Martin, no chance. But they, you know, if things aren't set in stone, maybe that's why everything alters all the time, you know, because obviously things move all the time, every nanosecond, whatever you want to call it.
It's not a fairy. Do not touch anything. Do not act upon anything because that will change your future.
So if again, like all the paranormal side of it and the energy side of it, it does all interlink with everything. Interlinks with your mind's the computer. Yeah. If your soul's lived 10 times in the past, you've got like 10 computers lot in this life, haven't you? So that computer's building, even though you might not know how to use it, you've got to defrag it as well. Sometimes you've got to clear it out. I'll always say to people,
it would be nice to be able to tap into some of it. That'd be a quite.
It's like how Emma turns around to me and she goes, so it's like she believes in like old souls and new souls. Like new souls is like with no knowledge, and she turns around and goes, with half the stuff that you come out with, and like you and Gary, for example, because you've known Emma for how long as well, and it's like you two class yourself as old souls, like you've been here over and over and over and over again, and it's like you've got so much knowledge about stuff that how would you have that knowledge? You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's most probably because I've lived that life, I've got the knowledge, and I'm bringing it back through to this life. And it's like Gary will be a lot more than me because he knows a lot more. You know what I mean?
But I think, again, with past lives, you're just tying the things in with knowledge that's come forward, haven't you? So I'd say to somebody, if they want information, sit down in a chair, balance and cleanse meditation for 10 minutes. Then do a meditation you're drawn to. And then ask your team to give you something or show you something moving forwards, because that's the way you work and push yourself, and it's all about pushing yourself in the right direction.
Yeah, it's I'm going to say I feel a little bit in some respects. So obviously most of my dealings are with Martin and Wendy. I sometimes feel like a bit of I've not watched them. I just know the term. The Harry Potter stuff, I just feel like a muggle sometimes, because I often wonder, are them two having a bit of a joke with me? Because they obviously, but I know they're not. Well, but sometimes I feel like there's a plane and I know it's there. I'm aware that there's, and I'm open to the fact that there's other stuff. The universe just can't be as black and white as most people think it is.
Well, I'd say to people, Bob, like yourself in Scotland, Go visit Stirling Castle. Go and visit Stirling. Stand on the ground. Ask spirits to show your energies. Ask spirits to give you information. Yeah. I'm a big believer in getting out there and going forwards. And if you don't ask, you don't get. It might not happen there or then. Somebody might come to you in spirit like 7 weeks ahead and go, when you've asked out loud, that ties in with what you've asked for 7 weeks ago. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, that's right. Because obviously, we've been, oh God knows, I can't think how many times now. The last time we was there, and it was the time before that. There's a not very well known road. Everybody knows the road that goes to Scotland between Inverness and Fort William, the side that is famous for the Doctor and his missus in 37 seeing what they claim is a Loch Ness monster moving across the road. There's a road the other side goes right up into the mountains, into the hills. I took some pictures up there, and there's one picture that I look at. I've got it on my computer, and I ain't even told my missus this. There's something about it. It's like I've seen it before. I remember going up there the first time when my missus was looking at the map and going, "Hey, do you know there's a road goes the other way? And if you do it, you can go right up into because it's quite." She says that is quite high, isn't it? I went, "Yeah, that is actually." And we got up there, stopped. And I was just taking some pictures, and I took one. And as soon as I took camera away, I thought, and I stood there because even she said to me, "She, you all right?" And I went, "Oh yeah, I was just taking pictures." And then it was gone. And now, obviously, years later, and I just, like you say, we go back again in April. I intend to sort of go, try and be a little bit more open and try and, like you say, I've been to Stirling Castle actually years ago, but there's a few places that just stick when I go.
Even like in Stirling, Bob, where you walk up on the land, you go over the little bridge.
Yeah.
You see the flow of the water and the battle where they all crammed them in. And somebody made a quote the other day, and again, it's like that makes sense. Again, with like history repeating itself, was the Titanic set up to all the Rothschilds get off and then basically sink all the rich, and then you
don't get me lost your lights. Don't get me started. That's the Rothschilds. I've turned your lights out. Yeah, me and my missus are a member of the National Trust. National Trust. And earlier this year, we had the chance. You have to book to go to I've forgotten the bloody name now. The Rothschilds, their weekend home that looks like a castle. And I've got a picture, and we was going, and I knew all about the Rothschilds, because when I mentioned it to one of their sort of helpers, and they went, somebody else that's interested in the conspiracy stuff, then I went, oh yeah, and they went, you'll be surprised if you spend a lot of time here. And I took a picture of the Rothschilds and all the things. You were right, everything that they own, and it was like, wow.
We were talking about the old souls, and she's watching it. And she doesn't often watch them, but she's been watching it because it's like Gaza and that. And it's when we was talking about the old souls bit, it's like it's like in the I sounded like I wasn't me in the house sort of thing. And she came literally rushing in. That's why I ended up having to go off. And it's like, okay. And she literally, her hands are like dead sweaty and everything. It's like, what happened to you? What happened to you? It's like, I don't know. It's like, we'll look back on it later.
Yeah. Like I said to you, here's sometimes where the light. I mean, you obviously can't see it. I wish I need to set a camera up and record it, because sometimes
you're trying to do trance on live, guys.
Yeah, it goes dark. It goes dark. It's very odd, and it's almost like someone says, "Isn't it meant to be blue light?"
Red light.
Oh God! Well, that's just red's just going to look evil. Yeah.
I'll show you one from Friday night, and we had the governor through. I don't know whether this will tip up, but
oh bloody hell! What's up with your face?
Is that you?
That's me.
Is that you, Gary?
Yeah.
Right. You look like a right. I don't know if this is right. You look like you've got a 17th century helmet on. You look like you're a soldier. I can show you a picture right now of that. You look also, because you look. I don't. It's probably the way the lights caught it, but you look like you've took an arrow and that's what took you out. Because it looks like it's caught you inside the
Sorry,
face.
guys, but
That's
you
weird.
look like the Terminator to me, one mate.
Hey?
I said you look like the Terminator to me, and that one, like the red eye.
No, he don't. Do you remember the helmet? They used to have the helmet where the guard come down. He actually looks like this, as the silver helmet. I can find the picture for you and everything. And this that, that's weird. It doesn't look like you anyway.
Pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'll find the picture.
But a member of the public took that, which is amazing. And then when they ring you up, well, they inbox you and thank you for the evening of the team that's put on the event. And it's
that's what makes it worth it, doesn't it, when they do that?
That's share it, again, seeing is believing. And sometimes where you're showing a spirit and they're like, they don't quite get it or what's going on and on the location and that. And it's like, we had a lady that was virtually re-loops through the building of the prison, like 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, she is going to channel somebody, not tonight on this invest.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you look like, Gary.
Well, that prison dates back to 1624 or 1625.
That's about what that is, actually.
Sorry, that's not me doing that, by the way.
Or what the that reminds me of Friday when I went where we were at work on Friday. I stood in the office doorway. Somebody walked up to me, and I know somebody walked up to me, and there was nobody there. It's not the first time, and sort of like, the girls that we work with often go, "We can never find you when we want you because there's something not right." And I mean, given we can't mention where we are, but given where we work, it's not surprising anyway.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I kind of looked, and it was just as if maybe Martin or somebody had walked up to me and stopped right next to me. It didn't, it didn't faze me, but it was an interesting thing that just like that just happened.
Don't worry,
hey, Darren.
Hey, hello, Darren. Oh, God Almighty, come bring it back a little bit.
I've enhanced that. I'll take it down a bit.
Oh. That's weird.
So I can't
the light's gotten a bit.
I'll take it right out. Hold on.
Yeah.
How are you, Dan? You all right, my brother?
Right, I'll try that again.
You know what would be best? If you send me it and then I can upload it.
Is that you, Gary?
Yeah.
It don't look nothing like you at all. Even the shape. I don't know if it's the same for Martin. For me, there's an outline, a red sort of. You're very red and stuff, but the shape of your head doesn't look nothing like the shape of your head does now.
When I was in Anderson's, I said there's a spirit energy right in front of my face. Can you see that one?
No.
Oh yeah.
There's a male. I said there's somebody just looking, staring at me right in the face.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah. Wow.
I'll show you another one in a second. And again, that's a team member that's took that picture. And then a negative energy was trying to stop me from talking on that one.
Oh, Jesus Christ almighty. You look like... Do you know what? You look... That seriously is you.
Yeah.
Do you know the one you showed me where we couldn't get any distinction that was really red?
Yeah.
That picture there looks like, instead of that way on, you're that way on.
Yeah, I get you. The shape of the head.
Oh my God, yeah. Jesus Christ, you look like a criminal. Wow. That is so not you, that whatsoever. That's definitely... Wow, they're impressive. Wow, that is... that really is. But you have got that look. But you look. Where was that taken?
The purple one was Mill Street Barracks in St Helens.
Sounds about right. Yeah, you got that sort of kind of thug look about you. Very.
And I'll show you one of them two energies that it was holding back, because I put it on my page the other day. So I'm just going to have a look at it. That was one of the two characters it was holding back.
Oh yeah. Oh, well.
Okay.
Now they were grave robbers back from the 1900s area, but the smaller energy was the driving one, and the bigger gentleman was more of a yes man.
Yeah.
So again, they used to make money a lot with the grave robbers and all that. Again, so when you're tying and putting the pieces together, you can understand why they show or portray themselves on a paranormal night of what they do, why they do, and what they did back in the day. I always say to spirits, if you give me information, it's not for me to judge. It's for me just to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least listen, because surely if they're wanting to talk to you anyway. So even if you're only listening, maybe somebody just wants to tell you who they are, who they were.
Like I had an energy in the prison the other night, and virtually he wouldn't have said anything. He'd just slit my throat. That's what he... mass murderers or whatever just don't, they do the business. It was their job or career or whatever, they would. Everyone has a different perspective. And I went, somebody's just trying to slice me throat. I can feel my guide protecting me, but spiritually, he wouldn't say anything to me. He'd have just gone, can't be doing with you. See you later. Bye.
Yeah. You're talking too much, letting too much things out. You know what I mean? Because it's like spirits like that would like to try to stay in the dark and not out in the light. And when somebody like me and you, we can bring him out and go, look, there's somebody here, blah, blah, blah. They've done this, and it's like, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, don't tell them about me.
No, because they wouldn't have wanted their story known. And again, it's all the different characters that you come across in working with mediumship. No two energies the same, because they've all got different souls, all got different functioning ways.
Yeah. Good pictures, especially the purple one. It looks more blue my end. I'm going to say I've took a few pictures over the years. I say Martin's seen the ones I took in wherever it was called, Edinburgh in the Vaults. Absolutely brilliant picture in front of about 30 people, listening to a woman talking. She said you can take pictures. Took that picture, and there was two alcoves. There's light. When I looked at them, just looking at them as was all leaving, I'm like, hang on a minute. Looked at one, took another one a couple of seconds later, and there's a shadow forming. You can see Katie Martin in front of the light. And the thing is, I was just taking pictures. So sometimes, as we would talk to other people, sometimes it's best just recording and taking pictures, because you never know what you're going to get.
I was channeling in the hospital a few weeks back, and obviously I'll say to people, on my pad, I'll just point out, like, take pictures and I'll write down, take photographs, or if I'm on a break, my team will say people need to take photographs. But it's because they know virtually what's coming around and what's in and around and what you're going to be dealing with and coming across next. And when you're on a live and you're explaining it, I've done this one. Now that I love this because I'm actually channeling this gentleman, but he didn't change my features, transfiguration. You can actually see him standing behind me in my silhouette as a soldier.
Yeah.
I mind you, yeah.
Yeah.
You see him?
Yeah. You can't miss him.
And it's like, and you can hear people going, "Oh my God, wow!" And this, you can actually see him virtually holding the butt of the gun in the picture when it's clearer, and you can virtually see if he's got the gun in his arm, and then you can see his hat on, and it's just.
Well, I'm just going to say, if people record, you know, if you take pictures, do people audio record? And if they do, have you ever had, you know, because there's two or three people audio, if they do it, has anybody ever sort of, you ever had that and somebody's got something on audio or whatever, but nobody else has got it, or it's, you know, it's definitely, and that, because that's a hell of a thing, you know, and that's some good proof that.
Well, it's great when other people get that stuff, and that's what's great evidence, like that lady taking that photograph the other night. Never said a word all night, just watched, monitored, clocked everything, enjoyed the evening. Oh, by the way, Gary, I took these pictures. There you go. I'm like, wow, thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just part of the amazing team that you work around and the people you come across, and they're all there for different reasons, aren't they? And it's like, that's why they were there. You know, everyone works in different ways. You'll get people that will log, clock, monitor, don't want to take part, keep their mouth shut, and they go, "Oh my God, I experienced so much because the heightened energies have come in with the medium have come in and heightened the energies, and you virtually again took the layers off, or you're the battery pack, and you're just sparking it open where that's part of the night." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever? I can't remember if you've really answered this, but then because you go back to all these different places, so do you ever get, because it's going to sound so stupid, and I'm going to say dead literal, and I don't mean it dead literal, but when you go back to somewhere, then have you ever had it where a spirit's literally gone and it's not going to be like this? Hello, Gary, how are you? Nice to see you again. That, you know, but in that kind of,
I've had something like that.
Do you know what it comes across?
Yeah.
Oh, are you here again?
Yeah.
Oh, you're back, are you?
See, that's my thing about
that's it. Are you back?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've had that. That's what
to be honest with you, you even get welcome back. Nice to see you. You need to sort this out or sort that out. And a lot of the times that can be a gatekeeper of the land or the building or the property.
Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of pictures and videos and stuff, some that I just don't, you know, just me just thinks, it's not right, it's not wrong. You know, just lately there seems to be, I never remember sort of seeing it or documented a lot of years ago, but a lot of people seem to sort of have dealings with, I forgot what to call them, shadow figures and stuff. And when you see video or pictures, they always come across as like negative, evil, whatever. But that's not true, surely. Surely that's just a plain and simple map or whatever that, you know, that's the only thing that they can form, surely.
You've got to get back to the mannerisms, the emotions of the spirits and the energies. People don't even realize if you're watching a movie or a series or anything with historic connections, you can actually bring them energies within to your front household. So if you're watching something from I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out the Castle last year, you actually bring energies in from watching that with the link and connection that you're watching that building, and they can go, oh, we'll have a pop around somewhere as well. So if you've got a bit of ability or psychic ability or spiritual ability, they can link and connect just by you being connected, just by watching something visual in front of you. Now, I was thinking at the start of the evening on this live is like, things might quieten down a little bit because people might not have the TVs on standby as much. So a lot of energy will be a little bit lower down as well in people's houses and properties as well. So to me, that's a good thing. You know what I mean? If I'm in a building and somebody's left 10 or 20 computers on, I'll turn all the switches off because that just takes the energy down, because energies do need a rest and you don't want it to be heightened all the time. So I'll always say to people, don't leave things on standby. Turn certain things off, which is, you don't want to walk into
does as well, doesn't it?
It's just, you're saving yourself a lot of work sometimes just by taking the power supply away or taking the source away sometimes, and it can be just as simple as turning energies off.
You're going to say you're supposed to. Well, you're not supposed to leave things on. No, you're not supposed to turn stuff off standby because they keep going on about if things get worse. The electricity going off and stuff. That things will go off. It's better to turn stuff off. But then you've got the other half, all your electric companies, your Wi-Fi companies, and TV companies going, don't do that because you'll lose all your updates and that. Well, somebody's got it wrong somewhere down the line. But I think sometimes we need to turn everything off anyway because it's nice to be able to listen because our lives are just completely full of noise.
Well, I'd say again, Bob, the only time I can read, if I read a book, now I've not read many, but the only time I can take the knowledge of a book in is on holiday when I've got nothing else going on because you've got time to focus. So you've got to be in the right place in the right environment to do different things is what I always say. The next 2 weeks, I think I break up the 16th of December. That's my shut off time. That's my 2 weeks where it's like, that's your recharge. That's me boost again. So then 2 weeks, even though it's like, it is hibernation time. It definitely is hibernation time.
It's like, that's why I've said to me, Bob and Wendy, well, it's Wendy that said it, is like this time of year is where we all need to have our break away from the paranormal, away to do our own thing.
Yeah.
We said we'll have a week off doing our own thing, just to mind, chill out. Get your holidays and stuff like that.
Again, even when everyone works in different ways, I was always told January, February, the veil's thickest, so that's the time not to investigate is January or February, even though people go out and do paranormal investigating January and February. It's supposed to be like, no, forget it, go back in March because the veil's that thick. So the veil's thinner of like October and November, and then it starts changing because in this side of the atmosphere of the UK, in this hemisphere, that's how it is here. I mean, obviously, you go down Australia, it's summertime. So again, in different times of the part on the globe, and you've got to run with the environment that you're around. How many times I've picked up on stuff watching other people's lives, and again, they're like in America or they're in, I don't know, South America or Italy. And there was one the other week where I was like, I think they were down south, and I was picking up on stuff in the other room, and it was a museum, and I described stuff, and the outfit I described was in the next room, but I could hear that person shouting their job.
Remember not long ago, you was on an investigation, and I turned around and I tuned in onto it. And I went, Gaza, there's something in that corner. And what's this man got to do with this room? And I described this man, and it's like, you know what, you're 100% right. It's like, okay. And it's like, thanks guys for confirming. It's like, it's just weird the way it works, isn't it? It just,
I always say it's like having antennas. It's just like having you've got like 10 ways of receiving. Like when you mentioned you receive from the back, ask your team to show you in the front visually through your mind's eye.
What happens? I get it through here, and then here there's like a pressure, and that's, I think, and when I hit the pressure here, that's when it comes out. When I speak it, and when, you know what I mean, I say what's happening and what's their sort of thing.
But we've all got different points where we receive. It's like your base. It's like a funnel where it can come in through your chakras. So it can come in at any point through your chakras, down the back, down the front. Again, it's just amazing how spirits work and link and connect. And I mean, how many times we've been on an investigation, and we had it Friday night. I felt like somebody said, "Oh, I've got a shoulder pain." I said, "I feel like that's a shoulder dislocation in spirit." And he said it went away, and then as he was going on in the investigation out the hub, he said, as soon as I stepped back into the building, it come back out the hub. He said, as soon as I went back into the prison, the pain came back. And then at the end of the night, I just said, just sage and cleanse when you go home and just ask the energies to step back. And but they're giving you what's going on, the mannerisms, motions, ailments, what they've crossed with, what they've suffered with. And the next session we went to was actually the infirmary. And when you looked on the wall, there's a gentleman there on the picture. It's virtually, and sometimes it went wrong on one of the pictures on the live, and on the wall it went. Sometimes some of the operations didn't go right, and there's a fella there just with like,
that's the place I've spoken to about. So you know which one I'm on about then, yeah.
I had, when I was in Scotland, we went to Dunrobin Castle, and you kind of not supposed to take pictures, but they kept saying, "Nah, you take some pictures of this, that, the other." And went along the corridor, and it said there's a room where they've got a massive collection of the mannequins and all, the old clothes and this, that, and the other stuff. But they call it the ghost room because it was a bedroom. It was a girl's bedroom or something, and it's meant to be haunted. Blah blah blah. Anyway, I walked up to it, and I was joking with my missus and my daughter. And my daughter was joking basically about something and this, that, and the other and stuff. And then we sort of looked, and I made a couple of weird things about the mannequins and then walked away. But I thought to myself, hang on a minute though. Anyway, I went back. I never took a picture. So I went back to the doorway, took 2 snapshots, and I found the pictures because all of this reminded me. On one of them, there's a shadow on the floor. And there's nobody in there. There's the mannequins, but there's only one light. The shadow's in the wrong place. It was on, and it's just weird. All the things you say to me. I only got a couple of steps, and it felt like someone said, "Oh, you need to take a picture, or she'll miss me."
Well,
so I did.
I went on a VIP tour of a castle. Got invited up there in Scotland. I'm not going to mention it because there's relics there. There's stuff there that Scotland's people don't even know that's in this castle. And they've got Mary Queen of Scots chair. They've got Mary Queen of Scots clothes. They actually showed me Mary Queen of Scots gloves. And there was about 2,000 swords in this room. And the overlapping energies. And for 10 years, I've had stuff about the bloodline of the Queen's not right and all this, that, and the other, and X, Y, and Z. And I don't go into all that.
Yeah.
And then I felt I've had information from Mary Queen of Scots, like chambermaid. She's come through quite a few times. Certain messages didn't get passed on down through Northumberland, didn't get passed with a scroll. And then a few weeks later, like 7 years later, and then a few weeks later, adding on to that, somebody saying, I think it was Tony Robertson, where he found the real bloodline of the king was down in Australia. And stuff like that. So you know that certain things within what's going on in the real world isn't right. But it's not for you to give. You've got to run with it anyway. I'm sure somebody said to me, Prince Charles is going to abdicate. I'm like, if he does, let it unfold. If he doesn't, so what? It is what it is. You know what I mean? And we were talking about this the other day, and it's like, again, it's meant to be. The popularity is then everyone loves Diana's children and obviously want them to rule the country. It's not about that. It's about just run with it. Just run. Let things run. You've got to let things run and work out the pieces in between and suit yourself with what's best for you and in and around you. We're not selfish people, but you've got to take the universe as it is and take out of it what's best for you. But also, again, I'm a big believer in sharing. But again, it's having the balance. You've got to have the balance. Yeah.
There's a lot of greed in the world. That's a problem, isn't there? You know what I mean?
I'm not money oriented. I'm not money orientated, Bob. Out of my own pocket.
I was going to say it's a good job from what you told us the last time when it was the first time you was on. What you were saying about the travelling up and down.
Well,
and the cost of fuel and everything. So it's a good job you're not in it for the money.
Bob, in 6 weeks, I've used £600 worth of fuel or more in 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and in the last 3 weeks, I lost a phone charger. That was fine, but obviously got to replace that. Last weekend, my spare phone with all my apps fell out the car, out the van. There's another 60, 70, 80 quid. My EVP button went kaput the other night. And there's just other stuff. Oh, my iPad, I've got my iPad fixed. It was 130 quid to get that back today with the new screen and new battery. So again, is it running the course to give me a break now and say, over the 2 weeks?
Maybe that's why it's happening, because it's basically saying, look, Gaza, have a bit of time to yourself. Have a bit of a time out.
Yeah,
If you're not going to do it, if you're not going to have that time out, we'll take the stuff away from you. So you got to have the time out.
But this is where it's up to now, Martin. It is like sometimes where spirits push you to the limit, and again, it's like reevaluate your time and reevaluate everything. I'm a big believer in not overanalyzing things, where it's like that's where it's just like, you know, give yourself a bit of time, as you said, and that's coming. Last October, I lost my diary, and I can understand why I lost my diary, because it was the same scenario again. It's like you need your window, you need your time, you need a break, and yet it comes in. That's your team doing that.
I get that. Well, I just want to thank. We're going to bring it to an end now. But I just want to say thank you for coming on. I do really, really appreciate it. For the last minute as well, we've touched some good subjects as well, especially some subjects that Emma wanted answering, and we was able to confirm it. You know, it's been absolutely great. Thank you, Bob, for coming on tonight as well. And hosting tonight has been absolutely fantastic. And for the viewers, you know, thank you for coming on. Hope you please like, share, and follow our channels on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
Also, as well, just before people go, take a notepad, have a notepad at home, put your dreams in it, put things out there, use the universe. It's not about I want, I'd like. So use the right intent out there. Did you
get to watch that The Secret?
No, God. Do you know what? I can't remember the last program I watched.
It's on YouTube. It's very good to watch. And what you just said now, I live by it. And everything that I put on my board, it's coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, so that's come, take it off, new one. And it's like, it's really good. You want to give it a watch, because you'll be like, wow, this is really, really awesome. It's about an hour and a half. It's on YouTube. It's called The Secret. Yeah. And it's really, really good. It's everything that me and you believe in. And it's like, wow. And it's what you believe in as well, because of the universe and everything, Bob.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch. I remember you mentioning it. I'd
giving it a watch.
Yeah,
a lot of topics.
Send us the link over, and I'll get onto it.
Yeah, definitely will do. Bro.
I'll forget in 10 minutes' time, unless I've wrote it down.
I'll send you it both over. I'll send you it both over, because it's definitely 100% worth giving it a look.
Yeah.
Right, so I just want to say thank you again for coming on. I do really appreciate it. I
can't wait for the rescheduled one with George.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have that next Friday, so that'll be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool if you're available next Friday, Gaza. Let's get you on, mate. Let's get all three of us on. Well, me, Bob, Wendy.
Now. Hold on, when am I Friday? Invest Friday night. It's supposed to be.
I've got to try to organise it, because it's like when I first ever started LSS. It's like you and George were like two of the main ones that started with John. You know what I mean? And it's like how, like, after so many years, we're still so close. And
I won't be able to join you.
No,
I'm in Manchester. 9th Friday the 9th.
That's not next Friday.
Second.
That's this Friday.
Next Friday, second.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get. Do you know what all that you've been saying about all that looking after yourself, me lowering my hours and stuff? I'm just trying to jump to the 19th. You've just ruined it now. That's it. So I've got 7 more days, for God's sake.
Yeah. And again, if people need advice, ask your friends in the spiritual world. Ask your people around you. Don't be afraid to ask questions, folks. There's no right or wrong answers with mediumship. Run with what you've got. Put it out there. Do you know what I mean? Ask your friends, your team, spiritually around you, what's going on, and you'll be surprised what comes back to you as well in tenfold.
That's it. I 100% agree with that. It's like what you give out, you'll get back. You know, it's like this is part of the secret. If you give out positivity, you'll get positivity back. If you give negativity, you'll get that negative back. It will even be something as simple as you getting out of bed and stumping your toe. Because you've started your day off with that negativity. That negativity carries on without the day.
Now you know why I'm always laughing, joking, and smiling the moment I walk into work.
You know what, mate? You're absolutely awesome, and I love you to bits. We're going to end the slide now anyway.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us tonight, and I do appreciate love and light to you all.
Good night, everybody.
Stay safe, folks. Get out there. That's what I was